Hello everyone. I'm here to discuss some of the earlier methods, traditional methods of teaching English. So let's go into the methods. So the first method is grammar translation method, which was first used when English began to be taught, especially in India. So what is this grammar translation method? It is a method by which English is learned. So the target language, the language to be learned is English. This method uses a word to word, a word for word translation, like English sentences in English or paragraphs in English are taken at first. Then every word of the sentence, every word of the paragraph is translated into the mother tongue, and therefore they learn English words. And what is most importantly needed in translating English sentences into the mother tongue is grammar, right? We need grammar to form correct sentences. So grammar is an essential element over here, which cannot be avoided. So this method gives importance to reading rather than speech. The speaking, the communication aspect is neglected over here, and it gives more importance to reading. It's because this study English was at that time was mainly for reading and getting education. That was just the reason. So sentences to be taught. Okay, the sentences to be taught are graded entirely on a grammatical plan. And since grammar is an essential factor in translating, which requires this word to word translation, grammar is taught from the very beginning. Okay, exponents of this method are of the opinion that English can be learned only with an advanced knowledge of its grammar. But this is outmoded now, and it's just because it cannot be used for effective communication. We know that languages are mainly used for communication, and this function, the functional part of the language, is not being established over here, and therefore it became outmoded, and later on new methods had come up. So let me ask you, why is the translation method is also known as grammar translation method? It's just because grammar is given much importance. Without the accurate grammar, without the grammatical rules, we cannot translate in accurate sentences. We cannot form sentences with accuracy, or in a complete sentences. It remains ungrammatical and incomplete and inappropriate. So grammar is very much important, and therefore this translation method is also known as grammar translation method, just because grammar is so important an element in this method. And this translation method is very much suitable for studying dead languages and not living languages, because dead language is no more spoken, is no more used for communication. A dead language is studied just to know about the language. Just we need dead languages only to read and comprehend. For example, Sanskrit, no people speak Sanskrit nowadays. So as Latin is just read and comprehended. Therefore grammar translation can be used to study dead languages like Latin and Sanskrit. Okay, what are the merits of translation method? The translation method has great benefits. I don't think that it's very bad. It helps to gain a whole lot of things. We get vocabulary, so we get so much. We can advance in English language through this translation method. The only drawback is that it doesn't focus on the communication part. Like the communication part is different from the language of the literature, right? Language of the written language is different from the communication. So that's the difference. And translation method enables the children to get at the meaning of this language in its exactness and clearness. So the meaning of all the words are We get everything so in an intact manner. That's one of the greatest advantages, and I hope that is very much needed in language learning also. And English grammar is well learned. A person studying English language through grammar translation method will know the grammatical rules. Okay, English grammar is well learned. It is economical and saves much time. It begins with translation, like translating one word to one word every word. Okay, so therefore it is economical, and it saves much time, and children can learn it fastly. It's a fast-paced learning, and meaning of abstract words like love, wisdom, truth, etc., which cannot be, if we cannot express these abstract words through without the use of our mother tongue. Therefore these abstract words, abstract concepts can be taught in an effective manner using grammar translation method because of the use of mother tongue. Mother tongue is very much a part of grammar translation method, because the translation is into the mother tongue, and therefore the connection between the second language and the first language or the mother tongue is very much attached. Mother tongue is required in the earlier stages for giving directions in the question papers and instructions in the playway methods. This method proceeds from the known to the unknown. So from known things we get to know about the unknown things. So this method proceeds from, this is a method that proceeds from the known to the unknown, as every child is already familiar with his mother tongue, because it is from mother tongue that he or she learns this new language. It is from the known language to the unknown language. There's a procession from the known language to the unknown language. So as I told, is there any demerits of the translation method? Of course, it neglects speech. It neglects the correspondence or the communication aspect. Speech is a very important aspect of learning languages, because it is speech that sustains a language. Since Latin and Sanskrit had not been spoken for so many years, it became dead. So if a language has to live on continuously in a continuous manner, we need speakers of that language. We need to speak in that language so that it evolves and creates, and it enhances, it grows, it evolves. So this doesn't happen if you do not speak, and speech is very important to the existence of a language, and speech is greater importance in our day-to-day lives too. We basically use languages to express our ideas, to receive ideas. So speech and communication, these are all very much an important are important factors in using language, and it is the grammar translation method neglects almost completely in the speech aspect. And there are certain words and phrases which do not have equivalents. See, every language is very unique, even though they are all connected. They are all, some languages have common ancestors. Okay, even though every language has its own uniqueness, some equivalents cannot be found in the mother tongue. Every language has its unique phrases, unique things, and that accuracy cannot be gained. Okay, that essence of the meaning may not be able to be conveyed through translation. That is yet another drawback. And this method assumes that English can be learned by studying its grammar. Study this method. This method is taught in such a way that if we know the grammar of a language, we can study. English can be studied easily, but it's not true. Grammar is just an aspect. Grammar is only secondary. It should be learned inductively rather than teaching grammar at first and then learning language. Grammar is just secondary, and it will come in on its own. It will be come on it will come on its own while learning a language. Grammar is only secondary, but it gives so much of importance to grammar that it is known that the title also, that the name of the method is also known as grammar translation method. A child learns his mother tongue not by learning its grammar, right? Likewise, a child shouldn't learn a language through grammar. First, the spoken aspect of the language should be acquired by the child, and then grammar is naturally, is organically taught, organically imbibed by the child. And this method gives much importance to the words rather than the other branches of language learning, right? It doesn't give importance to phonological system or the phonetical system. It considers word as a basic unit of speech, and also not a sentence. Since word to word translation, word for word translation is used, word is given much more importance rather than the whole sentence or the whole paragraph. Rather than the meaning conveyed, individual words, individual words as units are given so much of importance, and that again may have its drawbacks. It has its own drawbacks of conveying the meaning and the context of the language used. And therefore fluency in a language cannot be attained through grammar translation method. It prevents fluency in speech. So if a person who has studied in grammar translation method is using English for speech, just think about such a situation, and that person will only be able to convey his own meaning, or will only be able to speak with the use of their mother tongue. First, that person has to think about what is the that actually that person will convert his ideas into the language, from mother tongue into the language to be spoken, and it is not so effective. It is not so effective, and that person may also employ word for word translation, and that again becomes problematic in conveying the actual meaning that person wants to convey. So these are the drawbacks, and it has its own merits as well. Okay, it is easy to learn, vocabulary and meanings are studied, can be learned in the exact manner and easily. All these things are merits. English grammar is well learned. All these things are merits, but there are certain demerits because of its negligence or neglecting of the speech aspect. Okay, and I'm going on to the second method, or the next method, that is direct method. Direct method, as the word suggests, direct method tries to avoid the usage of mother tongue. The direct method is suggested by H.E. Palmer. H.E. Palmer is a linguist, and H.E. Palmer has suggested the direct method. According to the method, experience is directly linked with the language without the intervention of the mother tongue. So mother tongue intervention is very much reduced in this direct method, and it uses, the teaching is by without the use of mother tongue. And there is a direct connection, there is a direct linking between the experience and the communication, the language. Experience in language is in such a way that it connects so much with the idea. Idea is the main thing. Idea is connected, or the experience is connected to the language, and it destroys the intervention of the mother tongue. First, the aims of direct method is enabling the students, enabling the learners to think in English rather than thinking in mother tongue and then converting it. It takes so much of time, and it is ineffective. Here learners are focused to learn to think in English. Okay, there is a direct connection between the idea and the experience and the language. so this method enables the learners to think in English. And the second thing is fluency in speaking English with correct pronunciation is promoted. Okay, in grammar translation method, no aspect of speech was considered important. No pronunciation, nothing was included in that. It was just trying to learn the language by using grammar. It was just meant to read and comprehend and all. So this method enables learners to speak fluently in English with correct pronunciation. Pronunciation is given so much of importance, speech is given so much of importance, consciousness, like thinking should be in English, the target language. All these things are the major aspects, major key aspects of direct method. So this is like acquisition. Rather than learning, see, learning and acquisition is different. Learning is in an artificial environment, but direct method suggests that learning should happen in the same way as mother tongue was acquired by the child. See, no child thinks, no child has to convert his thoughts to mother tongue and then speak. The person will speak immediately in the mother tongue. Likewise, the person who has learnt English through direct method should be able to think in the target language and then speak accordingly. Okay, a child learns English directly as he learns his mother tongue without the help of any other language. So the help of mother tongue, the intervention of the mother tongue is very much reduced. What are the major principles of the direct method? There is direct association of idea and language, or expression and experience are directly associated. Expression and experience. There is a prohibition of mother tongue. Importance is given to the speech or the oral activity. Treatment of a sentence as a unit of speech. The whole sentence, one sentence is given importance rather than the unit of word. It doesn't consider a word as a unit, but then a sentence is a unit, so that the meaning conveyed by the sentence, the meaning that exists in a sentence can be conveyed effectively. So treatment of a sentence as a unit of speech. An inductive teacher of grammar rather than deductive teaching, as in the case of grammar translation method, where grammar is first-handedly recommended and taught from the very beginning. The thing is inductive teaching of grammar. These are the major things. Okay. What can we look at the advantages of the direct method? Direct method helps the pupil to think in English. It's the same thing that we have told. It ensures fluency in speech and ease in writing. It not only focuses on speech but also in writing, as it establishes direct association between thought and expression without the intervention of the mother tongue. This method enables the pupils to understand easily English spoken to them. They must be able to understand English spoken to them. What others speak should be easily understood by the listener. The fluency of speech acquired by the child by this method becomes a firm ground for developing his reading and writing skills. So much importance is given to the listening and speaking, and that becomes a firm ground. That becomes a basic ground from which the learner can achieve reading and writing skills. The basic skills taught in the direct method are listening and speaking. The person should be able to understand what the others speak in the language and should be able to reply without any problem, without any intervention, and should be able to think constantly in the target language and conveys all desired meanings easily and without and flawlessly. The spoken characteristic of the direct method makes study of English a living one. So English becomes more lively, and English is established more and more established as a living one with the use of this direct method. The oral work enables the teacher to correct the pupil's English and improve his pronunciation. There is oral work, and there is oral work through the learner's pronunciation and all the teacher can understand. This speech act is completely neglected in the grammar translation method, because translation doesn't require the speech, right? And therefore this oral work done by the learners enables the teacher to correct pronunciations and any problems in the speech. It is a natural and psychological method, as English is learned in the way in which a child learns his mother tongue. Therefore, this is direct method is also known as mother's milk method, because as a person learns, as a person acquires a mother tongue in such a way that this direct method also focuses in making English to be learned. So it is a natural and a psychological method. It is also called natural method or mother's milk method. And it doesn't strike out the skills like reading and writing. It gives importance to reading and writing skills also, but at first the focus is given to the listening and speaking, so that it becomes a firm ground for the learner to advance into reading and writing skills, and therefore four language skills are given importance. And is there any disadvantage for the direct method? Yes, there are some disadvantages, and let's look at them. It is said that stress on hearing and speaking in the direct method has lessened the importance of reading and writing, which are also of great significance in the learning of English. There are some people say that it is found that since it focuses more on hearing and speaking, the listening and the speaking skills of the language, since they are given more importance, the reading and writing, these aspects doesn't get much importance. That is what it says. And direct method prohibits the use of the mother tongue in the English classroom. Okay, there is no intervention of the mother tongue, but there are occasions when an English teacher is forced to use translation. For example, when giving the meaning of an abstract noun. So this was one of the advantages in the grammar translation method. Abstract words, abstract contents, abstract context could be easily conveyed through the use of mother tongue, because in mother tongue we can understand everything. We have experienced everything in mother tongue, and therefore the prohibition of the use of mother tongue in indirect method prohibits learning abstract words, abstract concepts like love, wisdom, truth, etc. So there are some situations where an English teacher would have to express certain things, will have to convey certain things by translation, because since translation is strictly prohibited in it is a disadvantage. When giving the meaning of an abstract noun, or when giving instructions in language, games, etc., it becomes difficult for the teacher to convey all these meanings. So it is a bit difficult way for the teacher as well as the learner to understand certain things. In this method, grammar is taught inductively, and thus pupils do not get a comprehensive knowledge in grammar. Since grammar is not taught as such, see, these are the grammatical rules. The teacher doesn't teach like that. The children themselves have to understand the inherent grammar of English, and it is called inductive learning of grammar, and therefore there will be no such a comprehensive knowledge of the grammar. So that is yet another drawback. Full understanding of the grammar takes place in the grammar translation method. And competent teachers with fluent speech and good pronunciation are required to teach English in this method. So there are certain demerits of the direct method which may not be able to easily applicable to teach English in direct method, because very excellent fluent speeches are required with accurate pronunciation. All these things are required. Competent teachers are required. So with professional training and all. But such teachers are rare and very limited. Cannot be it's they such professional teachers who can teach to a such a high level of competency is not common. And this method is very expensive, it says, because it requires many aids, like teaching aids. It also requires its application requires projectors, radios, lingua phones, etc. All these things are expensive. Individual and group oral drillings are also required in this method. Rather than the availability of the teacher and the student, it requires much time because group activities are group oral drillings. Okay, individual and group oral drillings are required for this method, and therefore it takes a lot of time. It becomes difficult as today our classes and classrooms are overcrowded or bulky. It cannot be implemented in a bulky, in an overcrowded classroom. A small classroom, small group formation has to be implemented, and it can also disrupt the other classes also if all the classes are packed together. So these are the disadvantages, but it gives so much of importance to the listening, speaking, communication aspect. These are the things. And I think I will stop with this. See you with another session.